So let's start the class. Or those who are online, they will be joining. Can you hear through the speaker? You can, right? Okay. So in the first class, we have discussed about ethics, right? We discussed what are the differences between ethics, morals, laws, right? Then what else we discussed? How is ethics different from morals, and how is morals different from laws? That aspect we discussed. Before that also, we did an exercise in the class, right, to make you think which is different from the popular opinion. In the last class, what was the exercise we conducted? We conducted an exercise to mention a truth which is not agreed by the majority of the people. We did an exercise, right? So the purpose of the exercise, as I told, is to think in a manner which is not popular. We have to think against the popular viewpoint. So that such kind of attitude, such kind of thinking mentality we need to develop as future civil servants. There may not be a huge fan following of your viewpoint, but you should be, if you have strong conviction that your view is true, you should stand with it. But there should be some reason for that. That all aspects we have discussed. And just a minute. So that aspect we have discussed. So same thing, every day when you come to an online class or an offline class, certain things you have to keep in mind. The main thing is that, why are you sitting in this class? That is very crucial, right? So the purpose you are sitting is that you are behind a dream. You want to achieve something in life. You want to escape escape the level of mediocrity, and you want to achieve something really big. You are aspirational. So keep your aspirational level high, and every day we need to keep trying for improving ourselves to do better. So how can we do better? We can do better by learning many things. So we have to be a learning machine. We have to learn new things every day. At least something every day you have to learn. It can be acquiring knowledge. It can be acquiring skills. Different skill sets also we discussed. What are the skill set you need with respect to the ethics paper also we have discussed. So today I'm not extending too much. We will be starting with a revision of the last class, and then we will be moving to a new topic. So just a revision of some last class along with some additional points. So what is ethics? This is something which we discussed in the last class. So just a revision. What is ethics? Ethics is a branch of philosophy which deals with right or wrong. That is a simplest definition of ethics. Ethics deals with what is right, what is wrong. But what is right, what is wrong is a very subjective condition, right? Nobody can say that this is a universal right or this is a universal wrong. What is right for Subiksha may not be right for Rohan, right? That is subjective in nature. But ethics deals with this. Ethics is a branch of philosophy which deals with what is right and what is wrong. So being a branch of philosophy, it has some elements of reasoning in it. Ethics is all about reasoning. Philosophy is all about reasoning. So if I ask you, what is the meaning of your life? That is a philosophical question. It's not very easy to answer. So philosophy is like this, like finding the meaning of life. What is the purpose of life? What is the reality of life? What is real? What is unreal? Whether the life itself is real? Is there a life after death? All these are philosophical things to some extent. So ethics is a branch of philosophy. So what is right and what is wrong? That is what ethics studies. So hence ethics is also known as moral philosophy. It's also known as moral philosophy because it's a morals plus philosophy. That is actually ethics. But now we know a new term, right? Which is a new term which I just introduced, that is morals. So what is morals? What we discussed last time? How is morals different from ethics? Ethics deals with right or wrong. Morals also deals with right or wrong. When laws also deals with what is right or wrong. Correct. Rules, regulations all deals with what is right and wrong, what you should do, what you should not do. These all, everything deals with that. So what is morals then? How is it different from ethics? Yeah. Morals basically is connected with what society considers as right or wrong. Ethics is mainly about what individuals consider as right or wrong. So this is what I mentioned. I at that time itself told that if you look at some textbooks, you can see the reverse. In some textbooks, the whole concept itself is reversed. They in some textbooks it will mention that morals is actually what individual consider as right and wrong, and ethics is what society considers as right and wrong. But what I am telling is different. Ethics means what individual considers as right or wrong. Morals is actually what society considers as right or wrong. And laws means what the state considers as right or wrong. Society is different, state is different, right? Laws are actually what statutes are enacted by the state. There can be a constitution. So what constitution considers as right or wrong, that can be constitutional law. If parliament makes a law about right or wrong, or what should be done and what should not be done, that's a statute enacted by the parliament. So that is actually what is considered as right or wrong by the state. But all these can be sometimes, there can be alignment with all the three sometimes, and there can be some disconnect with all the three also. Your sense of right or wrong can sometimes be against what society considers as right or wrong. Then there can be some conflict, right? There can be some dilemma. You will be in a dilemma. You are facing an ethical dilemma because your ethics is against what the society considers as right or wrong, or the law considers as right or wrong. Then how to solve that ethical dilemma? So that is this paper about. This paper, a part of this paper is about ethical dilemmas, not completely. This paper has a big scope. I said this paper not only covers ethics. What are the other areas this paper covers? What are the other areas this paper covers? Yes, aptitude, attitude. Then, so the concept of ethics, the paper of the ethics, the general studies paper 4 of mains, the subject of the paper is ethics, integrity, and aptitude. But it just not only deals with ethics, but it deals with many other areas. One aspect is ethics. The second aspect is attitude. The third aspect is aptitude. There is another aspect called emotional intelligence. Then there is the other aspects connected with the values of probity in governance, like should there be an RTI? Should be what are the values a civil servant should uphold in his public life? What are the values a civil servant should uphold in his private life? All these are part of ethics, this paper. So I think most of this we have already discussed in last class. So I am moving to the next slide. So what are the differences between ethics and morals? What are the differences between ethics and morals? I said one is individualistic. The second is in connection with this society. So what are the differences? Ethics, there is an involvement of reasoning. So if let's suppose we generally know that it is not good to kill anybody, right? So killing is generally considered as a wrong. Across most of the societies, that is considered wrong. But to kill what? To kill a human, most of the society considered that as wrong. But to kill animals, is it wrong to kill animals? To kill plants, it's become difficult, right? Then how can humans live? I mean, if killing animals is not good, Animals themselves, I mean, animals actually kill other animals, right? But they mainly do for their food. So, I mean, even you can, I mean, mother cats actually sometimes they feed on the dead kittens. I mean, they even eat their kittens. That is also seen. So, ethics is a very difficult thing. I mean, to adhere what is mentioned by society is very easy. I mean, if you live in one particular society, say if you live in a community of vegetarians, to adhere the standards of vegetarians is very easy. You have to just adhere to the norms of that particular society or that particular religion or that particular community. It's very easy. But if you belong to that community, but if your belief system is something different, what you consider as different, then there will be definitely some conflict, right? You'll be facing some conflict. That is difficult to resolve. Like how to resolve? Then you'll be confused. Like this society thinks, or the majority thinks in a different way, but I am thinking in another way. So what is right? Whether what is mentioned in the considered as good by the society is right, or what I consider as a good which is right. So that is the main issue here. So ethics has some reasoning, but your right also should not be something which you consider blindly as right. There should be some reasoning involved. Then only that should have some value. So ethics has some reasoning involved, whereas morals usually adhere to what is described by the society. Society considers certain things as wrong. For example, maybe there can be one society, and let's say society don't encourages multiple marriages. There should be only monogamy in this society, but you believe that yeah, there is no harm to marry 2 or 3 persons. It can be your belief system. But if you marry a second person, you will be considered immoral by the society, because that is against the morals of the that particular society. But it may not be unethical if your ethics says that it's okay to marry somebody. It can be illegal also. Is it illegal in India to marry a second person? Based on the community, based on the religion, right? India does not have a uniform civil code. So based on the religions, in some religions permit marrying multiple persons, some religions may not permit. So what is legal, what is illegal is also something again subjective, based on which religion you are. So but if you belong to one particular religion which permits only monogamy, and based on the laws also, that is what is legal for you, and the community which you live also will only support that. But personally you may feel that that is not right. There is no need to follow that particular belief system. Your belief system may be against, then there can be some conflict. Then there should be some reasoning, like what you consider as ethical or unethical. We'll deal all such scenarios later. We'll have a detailed discussion on that. And ethics is actually beyond rules. That is more important. Beyond rules means beyond morals, beyond the laws, sometimes even beyond constitution. Ethics is something which is personal. We just use our reasoning for that. But morals is all about hard and fast rules. Morals is hard and fast rules. What the society, what considered by the Kerala society may not be considered good by, let's say, the Madhya Pradesh, or the Karnataka society. So it can vary based on the state. It can be vary based on the religion. It can be vary based on the nationality. It can vary, but it is usually hard and fast. And ethics is usually considered universal. Usually considered universal means there are certain things. Let's say it's a usual. What are the usually considered truth? Say the truth, right? We should be honest. Is it a universally recognized thing, or is there any other society which says that you should not be honest? Everybody almost, it's kind of a universal value, right? Honesty, hardworking nature. I mean, is there any society which discourages to be hardworking or encourages you to be lazy? There are certain universal truth or universal values. So ethics mainly is based on that. The reasoning itself is based on that. Maybe the value of a human life or the value of a life itself. So it's a universal. So there are certain things which are considered universal. So ethics is usually based on that. The reasoning is based on only if it is reasoning cannot be based on something that is subjective. It's actually subjective, but to reason there should be something which should not easily changes. So ethics is based on what is not changing with respect to time, place, etc. Ethics is usually based on what is considered universally, what is considered universal. But at the same time, morals are relative. It changes from place to place. It changes from time to time. So what is considered as a right in the ancient times may not be considered as right in the modern times. It can change in the future as well. The present right and wrong with respect to one particular society may change in future. Can you give some examples of what was considered right in Indian society, which is not considered right now? Sati system, right? You know, right? Sati system. Widows were asked to or forced to jump into the pyre of the dead husband, which was actually considered pretty moral at that time, which was the standard. That was the rule then. But later, people recognize that that is not a right thing to do. This was, even though society forced us to do that, some individuals felt that that is not right. Society is forcing, but they started to think beyond what is prescribed by the society. So then they realized that that is not right. Now, this majority of society thinks against that. Now, if somebody is forcing any person to jump or to do sati, then that now is immoral. What was moral earlier has turned immoral now. Any other examples you can think of? Pardon? Caste system. Caste system is like it's an old system, right? More than 2000 years old system. Still kind of practiced in India. May not be as strong as it was before, but still it exists. There are still practitioners of a caste system, right? It's still existing in India, and even the whole reservation system in India, which is constitutional, is also based on the caste system. But there can be some time in future which consider caste system as immoral and maybe anti-legal also. It can become illegal also in future if a government comes with a strong law and abolishes the entire caste system altogether. Then it can become illegal also in future. It can happen. It may not happen, but it can happen also, right? So any other examples you can do? Start thinking that will help. Huh? Third gender, exactly. Very good point, Subhish. So now only previously only two genders were recognized. Even by the state, only two genders were recognized. Now a third gender is getting more recognition, right? So considering the third gender was considered like an immoral thing in the past, but now it has become, I don't know whether it has become moral. Still, there is some issues. There is some prejudice with this society, but it has become legal, right? So, the state recognizes whether the state recognized, but the society started to accept it is a different question. We discussed that in the last class also. There are different things which the state tried to enforce in the country or in the state through the laws, but the society may still has its own value system, its own right and wrong, which was the example we discussed last day. Same-sex marriage we discussed, dowry system we discussed, right? Dowry is something, the government tried to abolish it using a law. There is an anti-dowry law now, but still the society is still practicing that, right? Still dowry is very much prevalent in India altogether. Across states it's prevalent, but there is a law against it, but still the law is not 100% successful to eradicate the practice of dowry, because society considers that is right. There is nothing harm in that. A huge portion of the society still considers that as perfectly normal, or it's the right of the guy to take dowries. That is what somehow, I mean, a majority section of the society is thinking. But it might take more time to change the mentality of the citizens. That is why a law is there. And why there should be ethics? Why there should be morals? Ethics is actually what is practiced by an individual, right? But he practices it for the benefit of the society. He practices because he can, for example, let's take the case of Rajaram Mohan Roy. He was against Sadi system at that time, but that was, let's consider it was only his belief system. He considered that as wrong. But at that time when the society actively practiced it, but he said that that is not right. It was unethical according to him. But whose benefit was it for? Was it the benefit of him? Even if Sadi was practiced, was he harmed in any way? He was not harmed, right? But his belief system was actually for the benefit of the society. Because of he being ethical, the impact was really huge for the society, right? Are you able to follow? So ethics is actually for the survival of the society. Even though it is practiced by a human being, it is actually for the survival of a society. For example, let's say now there is a lot of unethical practices across professions. Across professions, I am saying. There are a lot of unethical doctors. There are a lot of unethical lawyers. There are a lot of unethical politicians. There are a lot of unethical civil servants. In every profession, we can see persons with no ethics at all. But let's say there is a doctor, there is a group of 100 doctors and 99 doctors are unethical. They may, let's say they will prescribe medicines just for getting commissions. When there is no need of prescribing medicines, the doctors is prescribe medicine just for getting commissions for them, or prescribing some medical test for getting commissions, or doing some operations where there is no need of operations. The whole system of doctors are corrupt or unethical. But there is one doctor who is against such principles. He has high ethical values. If suppose he stands against these unethical methods and he says that according to my belief system, what you are doing is not ethical. I am against this. I will stand against this and I can only do what my conscience consider as right or right. So he's against all this. But who will be benefited based for his ethical standards? Is he the beneficiary or others? Others are benefited, right? So if a person becomes ethical, the real beneficiary is the society. Correct. So that is the value of ethics. If you become ethical, the real beneficiaries are the society in general. The society will get benefit. If there is a good doctor, if there is an ethical doctor, the community, the patient community will be benefited. If there is a good lawyer, his clients will be benefited. Otherwise, his clients will be harmed. I mean, if the lawyer is an unethical lawyer. So that is the value of ethics. But at the same time, why there is a morals? We should say that why there is a moral. Why the society says that there should not be only one marriage. The society has its own, I won't say the reasoning for that, but to some extent there are some reasons for society to come with these social rules. Is it benefit? It's actually for the benefit of the individual. Some of the, I mean, I'm not saying that everything. Maybe the persons who came up with this Adi also might have their own reasoning for that. But, and what they say is that it's actually for the benefit of the individual. Sometimes we may not agree, but the concept of society is that this is for the benefit of individual. Say I mean, men and women are restricted to one particular bond, that is one marriage at a time, for the benefit of their benefit as well as the benefit of the children who come out of that marriage. So society comes up with morals mainly for the benefit of individuals, but individuals become ethical for the benefit of the society. So this is the differences. Now let's start with a question. Is it wrong to steal? Stealing. What is stealing? Take others' things, right? Take others' things without their permission. So is it wrong to steal? Yeah, everybody can. You can answer it. Is it wrong to say? Lindsay, you have something to say? Depends on. Can you mention one situation where stealing is considered as good? Okay. For if stealing helps to satisfy the hunger of oneself or others, others. If but is that act harming someone who did hard work and you are let's say somebody who did hard work and prepared some food. The other person might be lazy, but he might be still starving. At that time, is it ethical to steal the food from the person who did all the hard work and made his own food, to give it that person who might be starving, but he is also lazy, he didn't work, but he is starving? But is it good to give it to that person? No, right? But there can be, this situation is all subjective, right? This situation is all subjective. But can you think of some situation when stealing can be considered okay, it is justified? Is stealing justified only in scenarios when it is done to satisfy the hunger, or stealing is a universal wrong? Perfect. I think that's a good example. It's you connected another concept called rights, right? So you connected one. So let's take this connector with the salt satyagraha during the freedom international movement in 1930s. At that time, the right to produce salt was only with the government, British government. Indians never had that right. So as by the law itself, producing law was considered made illegal. But Gandhiji did an illegal act, right? At that time, he did an illegal act. He broke the law which was there at that time. Because by law, this right was given only to the government, the British government. He considered that that right should not be limited to the government. The Indian should have that right. And he broke the law. It's actually a symbolic act, but the right itself, which was made by the law itself, was questioned. And to some extent, if it is illegal to, let's look at the scenario in 1930s. The salt at that time, which was produced from the oceans, was considered as a state property. Suppose it is only with the state. And if private individuals try to take out the property of the state, to some extent, it can be considered stealing also, right? It's an act of stealing, right? It is illegal. But later, it was considered an act of heroism, right? It helped to get momentum to the Indian freedom movement. But what was made legal, the intention of the law was actually the question here. So whether it is justified to frame such laws. There are many laws in India at this time. Sometimes it may be considered as anti-constitutional later, unconstitutional later. Because why? Because there are laws, those who are breaking the laws now will be considered to have done an illegal act, but at a later point of time, these laws itself may become unconstitutional, or the laws, this is because it may not be accepted by a modern civilized society, some laws, the existing laws. So coming back to the question, is it wrong to steal? There is no single answer, but in general, we can say it is wrong to steal. It's wrong to steal. In general, we can say in most of the scenarios. But there can be some exceptions, or you should be broad-minded to see the scenario behind it. The law sometimes may be blind, but there are two concepts which I mentioned last time also. There are two concepts. There is one is law. There is another is called justice. Law is a means to the end. The law is a means to get the end, which is justice. So what matters more? What matters more? Whether what matters is law or what matters is the justice? What do you think? Justice matters more, right? Justice matters. We all make some laws. As civil servants, you are bound to obey the laws. You are bound to execute the laws. But what is the purpose of the laws if it is does not delivering justice to the needy? Then there is no utility for laws. Correct. So the ultimate intention of every law is to provide some justice. We see police, right? Do they give justice or they do executive laws? They just executive laws because they can only do that. They are not given the power to provide justice. Justice is probably it is delivered by the judiciary, right? But usually the executive, or I mean, you are going to be part of the executive. Which type of executive? Permanent executive or political executive? Permanent executive. So permanent executive in most cases will be you have the freedom only to execute the laws, or sometimes you may be part of policy making, you may be involved in creation of laws also to some extent, but mostly you will be executing the laws. In many instances you cannot say what is even if the law created by the legislature, even if it is not right, you feel it is not right, but you cannot do anything, you have to just execute it, right? But sometimes there can be situations where you can use your discretionary powers. There can be instances when the law itself provides some discretionary powers. You as an officer will have some discretionary power. The decision will lie with the officer itself. At that time, when you are using your discretionary power, you can think of this concept called justice. If you are aware of the concept of justice, you can take decisions not just the basis of the laws in the country, but you can also think of in the perspective of delivering justice. So this is one reason why we have the pardoning power of president or governor. He can think beyond the laws, right? We have we have legislature, we have executive, we have judiciary. Even after that, we have given provisions to the president of India and governors of each state to have their own reasoning, their own methods to ensure that the person who is involved gets justice. If through the laws that justice is not done, he should try to give justice in some other way. I mean, the laws may be against. The laws may be saying that stealing is illegal. For whatever purpose the person steals, I mean, it's practically impossible to mention, like, if you're stealing to satisfy your hunger, it is okay. But if you are stealing for some other purpose, that is illegal. The law cannot say dictate like that. The law just says that if you are stealing the property of any other person, that is illegal. But sometimes if you follow the aspect of justice, maybe the president or the governor can look at that aspect and give some pardon. Are you able to understand? So such kind of questions can come in exam also, in UPSC exam also, to know how you think. To score better in the ethics paper, what matters is that you should have a lot of examples. Examples is the one single thing which will improve your marks in the ethics paper. So you should start thinking in the class itself. You should think of different scenarios, different perspectives. So you should have some examples for each scenario. You might have already thought about these before. If you have done the brainstorming exercises in the class or your home before, you will save time to do that in the exam hall. You should not, you may not need to do it in the exam hall because you have previously thought about that. If you have not previously thought about it, in the exam hall time pressure, it will be really difficult to come up with some solution. Your mind will be mostly blank. But if you have previously thought about it, such kind of scenario will be already there in your short-term memory. From that, you can easily make that in your paper. It will be already there in your mind. So we all say that it's wrong to kill a person, right? it's generally considered it's wrong to kill a person. I mean, killing animals or killing plants is a different thing. Let's consider across the world, generally it is generally considered humans should not kill humans, right? But if let's say one person A killed B and let's say C killed D, whether A and C get always the same punishment? Both have done the same crime, they have killed another person. Will always killing result in the same punishment? The act remains the same, but sometimes punishment can vary, right? Can you think of some scenarios like that? Why, when can the punishment be different? Self-defense, right? So if, let's say, if C killed D in an act of self-defense, D might have tried to attack C. C may be an innocent person, but D just tried to harm the person with maybe with some arms. He has to defend himself because he has the right to life. Every person has a right, right? He has a right to live in this world. He has only one right, one life. If somebody is trying to take that life, somebody is taking to take that right out of him. So he can defend. That is self-defense. If he's in that process of self-defense, if this person is dying, should he be treated the same way as A, who is an attacker of B? No, right? But both has done the crime, but the crime itself is treated differently. By the legal system itself is treating both crimes in a different way. So you should understand that all crimes are not same. One is an act of defense, the other is an act of attack. A attacked B and killed him. Here D attacked C, C just defended. In that act of defense, the other person is killed. C is not attacking, he is actually defending. The term itself is called self-defense. He is defending. In that process, the other person is getting killed. So both are not same crimes. He may be even acquitted because its self-defense is actually provided as a provision in Indian Penal Code. That is there. That is a right. You all have that right. But you cannot attack other person. You can only defend. Able to understand that? Okay. So in the same perspective, stealing also, maybe on scenario, it can, I mean, there is no particular provision in the legal system, but at the time when the judiciary may be sometimes sympathetic to you based on the, I mean, there can be other instances also when it's very questionable. So have you heard about the term kleptomania? Kleptomania. What is kleptomania? Kleptomania is a psychological condition, right? Some persons, it's a mania. Mania means a disorder, right? Disorder, I mean, some persons cannot stop stealing the properties. If they go to some supermarket, they will be stealing something. Maybe, I mean, this kind of condition is there with very rich people as well. There is no need for that particular person, which he can be from a very affluent family, and he may not need to steal that. He may be stealing, let's say, a nail cutter from a supermarket. He may have 100 crores worth of asset, but he may do that. That's actually a disorder, mental disorder, mania kind of thing. So if the person himself is not normal, and if he's stealing, what should be the punishment? Should he be punished? If a normal person is doing some crimes, or maybe punishment can be awarded. That itself is a question, whether there should be punishment, or punishment also is around now different types. There is rather than punishment, why a person is committing crime, is it a problem of him, or is it a problem of the society? Who creates a criminal? That is a question, right? Whether the person himself is a born criminal, or he's born normal like all other kids, and the society later turned a person into criminal, then who is the culprit? Whether the person is the culprit or the society is the culprit, it's all very subjective and philosophical questions. But now such discussions are happening across the world, happening. And also, for a crime is committed, should the person be punished, or there should be some provision for reformation? Should that be there? That is another question. Now, coming back to that, what was the topic? Kleptomania, right? Kleptomania. So should a kleptomaniac person be punished for the crime? I think we should later take up such exercises in the class also. We should take up such exercises, and maybe sometimes you get such questions. I mean, we don't know what kind of questions UPSC asks, because if the UPSC just asks theoretical questions like what is the difference between deontological ethics and neontological ethics, there is no purpose. You can just by heart it and vomit an answer on the answer paper and you get marks. There is no purpose of setting such questions. So UPSC, what they do, they will try to set questions like this, some scenario based questions. They will try to um, get a perspective from you, like what you think. There was one year, there was a question: what is happiness according to you? The first question was that, what according to you is happiness? It's a very subjective term, right? UPSC, and how it is connected with ethics paper, we don't know. I mean, in ethics paper anything can come. It's connected with philosophy. So as a civil servant, certain things can come. What do you think as happiness? Fulfillment of. Subisha says, according to her, happiness is fulfillment of desires. So she has some desire, and if that is fulfilled, she will get happiness, right? Apart from any other thing, if you don't have any desire, but will you be happy in another way? You don't have any desire. Let's say you sit in a class and suppose the class was good, will you be happy? But you decide for that, right? Yeah, satisfaction, and you connected happiness with satisfaction, right? Okay, that is there. But I'm saying is that if you, let's say you decide to get a pen, you got it, you'll be happy. Or you wanted to be an IAS officer, you became an IAS officer, you become happy. That is something you decide. And without any desire, unexpectedly you got something. Let's say somebody gifted you something which was unexpected. There was no desire to get that, but still will you be happy? Yes, right. So that's the definition of happiness. Like what is the initial definition you gave? Fulfillment of desire. That definitely usually will make people happy, usually, but there are other things can also make people happy, right? So let's take a discussion of that, because this was actually a UPSC question. So let's take some time to discuss that as well. Let's start from Ashley. What is happiness according to you? You can use any language in class, not a problem. So Ashley, also it's like desires, right? Like when you get back what you decide, you will become happy. When you don't get what you decide, will you be unhappy? When will you be more happy? When you expected something and when you got something, or when you have least expectations but you get it? When will you be? Okay, when you have least expectations, Warren Buffett once said, do you know Warren Buffett? So he once in a discussion, when he addressed an audience, he asked, what is the single most thing that is necessary to make a marriage long lasting? What is the single most thing one should expect from a partner that will make the marriage long lasting? Was it a partner with a lot of beauty? Was it a partner with a lot of intellect? Was it a partner with a lot of wealth? He said none of these things can make a marriage long lasting. He said a marriage can be long lasting if you get a partner with very low expectations. So that is what he said. So similarly, we also become much more happy when we have least expectations and we get it. Suppose you think that there is no chance of clearing prelims, but you cleared prelims. It's a surprise, right? Surprises can make us more happy, right? When we expected that's we already know, like we will be clearing prelims. Then when you get the prelims result, we'll be happy. But the happiness, the quantum of happiness can be much more if you had not expected it. Surprises can bring more happiness in general, I am saying, isn't it? All of you agree? Okay. So can you think of some other definitions? This is not the definition, I just discussed it. Can you all of you can think of some definitions of happiness? Okay, perfect. This is a really good point of view you put forward. So I'm taking it, we'll discuss that particular thing. So she said that only if we achieve something to hard work, that will create happiness. Let's take that as an example. So Subiksha, let's say she wants to achieve a financial, she wants to accumulate wealth of 1 crore rupees, 1 crore rupees. So she is hardworking for that every single day. She's hardworking and she's hardworking to get 1 crore rupees. And let's say Rohan also wants to get 1 crore rupees, but he took a lottery ticket instead. And he, without any hard work, by just because of luck, he won the first prize and he got 1 crore. Who will become happy? It depends. Is it also depending? I mean, if somebody, that depends on what you value. Whether you value hard work or whether you value the luck or even getting things without any hard work. Some people may not be happy at all if they win any lottery ticket because they have not done any hard work at all. There is no effort from the end of the person other than taking the ticket. Everything else is luck, right? So there is no effort, right? So there are people in the society who may not take any lottery ticket at all because they don't want such things which they get without any effort from their end. So if they value getting something, only if they put some effort, only if some effort of them is there, they only consider that as valuable. If getting something cheap by any other means without any effort, they consider, no, I don't deserve it. So there is no happiness for them. But there are some people who always look for shortcuts for making, this is shortcut, right? Taking a lottery ticket and becoming wealthy is a shortcut. So some people do not understand the value of hard work, or they think that hard work, there is no scope for me to do hard work, or even if I do hard work in the long term, there is no chance for me making 1 crore rupee. I am already unhealthy. I have turned like 50 years old. Even if I do hard work, there is no chance for getting 1 crore rupees. So the only scope for me is to take lottery tickets and pray to be lucky. So for them, what they value is the luck factor, or they are valuing the shortcut methods. So then again, the happiness is perspective, right? It depends on the value system also. One thing which, based on the value system. So the thing is that what we have done is that now we have connected happiness to our value system. Value is entirely a very, very big chapter. We'll be dealing that later. But I am again saying, so you want to become an all India topper for UPSC Civil Services examination. There are two ways to get it. One, by studying hard. Second thing, cheating in the exam hall. You can get all the Bluetooth gadgets and things like that, and you can arrange people outside. You can do all the cheating, and suppose you became all India rank 1. What will make you more happy? Hard work or cheating? Again, depends on the person, right? Those who are okay by getting in rank 1 by any means, they will be happy even by cheating. They will be really happy, and they will say, my effort I also did some hard work for that all purpose, for the cheating or for arranging all the things. I did the brain work, and others are not as intelligent as me because they cannot arrange all the things. I did all the things in a negative manner. Their brain worked in a negative manner and arranged all the things and became successful. The machinery, the government machinery, the police, the invigilators, they were not capable enough to detect this. So they are inefficient and I am efficient. So he can also be happy, maybe. But in general, I am saying, if it is not done in a proper way, if all others are hardworking and I am taking an illegal way or immoral way or unethical way and achieving the same result may not bring happiness. It can bring happiness, it may not bring happiness. Again, depends. That's correct. They lack the integrity they may not deserve to be a civil servant. You're right. It is the case for people with integrity. Suppose you are a person of integrity and you value only getting rank 1 only through hard work. You mentally, you are not that much connected to cheating, not teaching, but cheating. Okay. So suppose you don't have that value system. You went against your value system and achieved the same thing. Suppose, then you will have huge disconnect. You will not feel happy. In fact, you will feel guilt. You feel that you have done something which is against your conscience. So more than happiness, you will have a guilt feeling because your value system is against that. But if the other person does not have any value system at all, and what he values is getting the result by any means, yes, system it will definitely affect later. Correct. They will have. That is actually happening now in India also. The same thing is there. I am saying is that, but whether that is making them unhappy, if something is making the other person unhappy, probably they will not do it, right? I mean, criminals are doing crimes. If every crime is making the criminal unhappy, he may not do it. But that is not happening. They are getting some kind of happiness even from criminal acts. If killing others is making the person who is doing the killing, if that is making him unhappy, he will not do it. But he's actually, instead of getting unhappiness, the person is getting some happiness out of it. So because of the, I mean, one act may result in guilt for one person, the same act may give pleasure for the other person, right? So that is make this question really difficult to answer. So what is happiness is actually very difficult question. Particularly, the question is actually not what is happiness. That itself is a very difficult question to answer. What is the definition of happiness, or what can bring happiness? The question is, what is happiness according to you? So what is happiness according to Subiksha may not be the definition of happiness for Rahul. So and the most difficult thing is that we never think of these things. We never try to know ourselves. What makes us happy? We never think of that. So this is very difficult to answer. If we have more time, I mean, since we are just starting out, we can take some time to think on this, because you will start learning. Then we'll come back to the topic. This is also part of the topic, but I wanted to have the discussion sometime later. What is happiness? What is success? All are relative things, but UPSC may ask, because happiness is already asked, and UPSC can repeat also. I mean, it's not like UPSC may not repeat questions. UPSC will try to repeat the same question again. So what is happiness according to Rahul? Again, you can use any language, not a problem. Getting unexpected things brings happiness. That is what happiness. Okay, that is something which we discussed. Good. Okay, that brings happiness. Rohan, what is happiness according to you? I mean, you are asking me a question. I mean, what you are asking is that we will be studying for the exam, but we may not be putting effort to deserve a first rank. But somebody is guaranteeing that no matter what effort you are putting, you will be given first rank. But you have to write the exam, but you don't necessarily put all the hard work. Then you're asking me like whether I will be happy to that. I will not happy. I will not be happy. That is my. Still, if you are asking me my personal take on it, I will always look for what I deserve. Whether it's always something like what merit I have. It's connected with my merit. I mean, if it's just connected with UPSC exam, it's not like somebody promises that. If there is merit in what I have written in the exam, it's based on what I deserve. If I'm getting something, I will be happy. If I don't get based on what I deserve, I may be sometimes unhappy. Sometimes, but happiness, if somebody is promising more than what I deserve, that means somebody else is actually affected, right? If particularly in competitive exam, if we are given some unfair advantage, I mean somebody else is at a disadvantage, right? So how can I be happy at that time? Because yeah, it to some extent can be connected with reservation also. But that part, I think yesterday we have discussed to some extent. Yeah, but what exactly is happiness according to you? Okay, you mostly want to connect with your own effort. You believe in your own ability, and you don't want to connect it with luck, right? If you, I mean, the result should have some logical connection with your own effort. Then you will be happy. That is what you think. Okay, perfect. So effort and result should be directly proportional. That's what you think. Then that makes you happy. Okay. Oh, yeah, sure. Who else want to? Shirag, what do you want to add? The freedom to do what we like, that brings happiness. Correct? Okay. So he connected happiness with freedom. Very good. So the freedom to do what we like, that brings happiness. That is what you link happiness, right? To some extent, it's correct, right? All of you agree? Freedom, is it necessary? I mean, suppose we got everything what we worked for, but at the same time we don't have freedom to do many other things. Can we be happy? I mean, like, the parrot in a golden cage, right? You can be a parrot in a golden cage. You may have all the facilities, but you don't have any freedom. So that can take out your happiness, right? To some extent, that was there in the British rule. The British rule was to some extent considered better than the existing rule at that time. Some people believed that British rule had its own merits, but it was still a foreign rule. Indians never had the full freedom. So were they happy? No. So freedom can bring some happiness. Again, relative. When can freedom result in unhappiness? If your freedom is taking the freedom of the other person can become unhappy. And if that creates the conflict, your happiness can be lost, right? That can be there. That can be there. But very good point. The freedom to do what you want to do in life, that can result in happiness, that freedom. Good. So to some extent, money gives you that, right? To freedom to do what you want in life. Financial security. So financial security, can it give happiness? To some extent, or to all extent. So what is that money cannot bring in? Money cannot buy in? Respect. Yeah. Yeah, lack of money creates its own problems. But suppose you have abundance of money. Will all the rich people be the happiest persons on earth? Is Warren Buffett or Bill Gates the happiest person on earth, or Jeff Bezos, or any other millionaires or billionaires? And absence definitely creates some unhappiness, because there are certain things that money can buy. But what is that money cannot buy? Or why some people, if unhappy after getting a lot of money, what makes them unhappy? Peace of mind. What makes them lose the peace of mind? Lose of money. Yes, correct. To some extent, yeah, they create money, but after one point of time, the fear of losing money, that can create unhappiness to some extent. Any other thing? Divorce can happen in any situation, right? Loss of money. If a divorce happens, they may lose money, right? Okay. Any other aspect? Yeah, health issues can result in unhappiness. Be it for rich people or poor people, can universally, to some extent, result in unhappiness. But again, it's also subjective. You can see very unhealthy people, maybe fighting cancer, maybe dying. They are much more happy than very healthy people. So it's relative, right? So that is why nowadays says that now there is a popular conviction that happiness is a choice. It's a personal choice. Whether you want to be happy or not is your personal choice. Every day you can take that choice, whether to be happy today or to be unhappy today. There can be different challenges, different problems everybody faces. There can be money issues, there can be family issues, there can be health issues. Maybe a family member might have health issues. There can be lot of things might be disturbing your mind. But it's your personal choice to be happy or not. So we can consciously take that. We can forcefully take that. There can be 100 scenarios where we can be unhappy for that particular day. 100 reasons to be unhappy, but you can take one reason to be happy that day, and it's a personal choice. So that is another thought altogether. So let's take an example of a child, a baby. What makes the baby happy? So what can bring happiness to a child? I didn't get your name. Srihari. What makes the baby happy? Presence of his parents, particularly mother, right? Why the presence of a mother or a father make the child happy? Feel safe. So security can bring happiness. Freedom can bring happiness. Who said the freedom? Chirag said that freedom can bring happiness. So we have just discussed a few things which can bring happiness. Security can bring happiness. Freedom can bring happiness. Achievement of something because of hard work can bring happiness, right? So achievement can bring happiness, or hard work can bring happiness. Then any other points we discussed? This is the same thing, right? Or Yeah, learning can also be, learning is the experiences, the learning experience. If you maybe if today's class you learn some 2 or 3 new things which you were not aware before, that itself can bring a new insight to your life, a new wisdom you get which was not there. That itself may be a life changing thing, right? Maybe if you learn something and it can transform your life, you'll be definitely happy. That can bring happiness. Yeah, very good point. So think like that. Think like that. What else can make you happy? Opportunities to excel, achieve something, opportunity to bring out your potential out, opportunities to do something for you or do something for others. What makes you happy? I mean, this everybody will give a very, service oriented answer. But what can bring you happiness? Something which you do for yourself or something you do for others? Okay, what can doing something to make your potential bigger, better, or improve yourself, that makes you happy. Is that like that? Or achievements, your own achievements, that makes you happy? Your own achievements makes you happy. Okay, perfect. So who is the one problem I have is that I sometimes forget names of people who are very familiar. Happens with old age, right? I forgot your name. Arishan, yes. Arishan, what makes you happy? Pardon? Comedy, yeah, that's very important. We all laugh, right? We all laugh when we see a comedy movie. Very good point. So that can bring happiness, right? Is it happiness or is it pleasure, or is there all different terms, right? Or is it something else? Joy, there is another term called joy. So watching a comedy movie, will that make us happy? So happiness again can be divided into short term happiness, long term happiness. Will watching a movie result in long term happiness? Usually short term, right? But the memory of that movie may again make us laugh after some time. But that is actually something connected with the laughing, right? When we achieve something because of hard work, or when we get freedom, do we keep on laughing, or we may not laugh, we may just smile, right? Or but that will make us happy to some extent. But when we see a movie, rather than smiling, we sometimes laugh when we see a comedy movie. But comedy movie can also bring some happiness, particularly if we are very down, we are sad. Sometimes our total emotions can be changed by a movie, a book, right? Even the smile of a baby can change our mood and can bring some happiness. So what can bring happiness, or what is happiness, Angode? If you know it, probably sometimes you know yourself better, like what you want in life. If you know the answer of this question, then you know exactly what you want in life. Then you can go behind that. Sometimes we may be running a race, just for blindly following others. We may thinking that in that race we may get happiness. We may not get it. The important point is that we should know like what exactly we want in life and what can bring happiness, whether that brings us happiness. So in the initial class I said that the UPSC exam itself is actually a journey which you should enjoy rather than it's an end. The happiness of your life should not be tied to getting all India rank 1 in UPSC civil services exam, because if your happiness is tied to that, there are two problems. One is that if you get it, you'll be happy, but your happiness is gone after that, because what you have considered as an ambition in your life, you already got it. So there will be vacuum after that, or you have to set new parameters after that, or new goals. But if you don't get it, you'll be unhappy for the entire life, which is not a good thing. If you tie your happiness to one thing which can be achieved by only one person in 1 year, and it's very less chance, like 0.0001% to get that, and it's actually a disaster to set such high ambitious target which may not be realistic also. So but rather than, we can set target like make daily improvements every day, enjoy what you are currently doing, make self improvement itself is a very good thing, right? Or make yourself better day by day, keep on learning something new every day. So all this can, if your happiness is tied to something like this, that itself can bring happiness, and that you can be happy every day. What can bring you happiness? Like Subiksha said, learning something. If that can bring happiness, is very good. Let's say the late Kerala politician Uman Chandi, for him the happiness was to be with people. He was actually a people person, so he can be happy just be with other people. It can bring happiness to him. So in one interview, a person asked him, will you get time to see a film or to read a book? Other persons find happiness when doing that, right? When they are actually not enjoying their work, so after their work, to get happiness, they may go see a film or read a book to get the happiness. So will you get time to do that? He said, peoples are my books. So when he interact with people, he get the same feeling, like same happiness he get by reading a book. So reading a book can bring happiness. Watching a film, as Harishan said, can bring happiness. Interacting with people can bring happiness, but it's all relative. Like what can bring happiness to you may not bring happiness. I mean, reading a book can be a happy exercise for Harishan, but let's say it can be a painful exercise for Rahul. He may not enjoy reading at all. So it's all subjective. But can there be something which can be considered universal? So that is what we were discussing. It's a big topic, but I think I have helped you in the initial classes with a diagram. I said, in the first class itself, I said, like, there are, Subiksha started with the desire, but I said there are needs and wants. So the basic thing is that we have certain basic needs, like need for food. If suppose you came in the class, today's class, if you had food, you can enjoy the class. But what if you came the class hungry, you didn't had the breakfast? However good the class is, you may not be able to 100% enjoy it, right? You may be still unhappy because the basic need is not satisfied. If you are thirsty, if you're not getting water, it's a basic need. That basic need is not satisfied, you will be unhappy. For some part of you will be unhappy. But suppose you you got all the basic needs, then the wants come into picture. You may want to become something, you may want something else. You may want a better hostel, you may want a better food, you may want a tastier food, you may want your travel to be much more easy, you may want a better vehicle, you may want a better home, right? Similarly, once you achieved all these things, a better home, better vehicle and all those things, suppose, or a better job, finally you may make all money also. Initially you may not be making good money, but suppose you started making good money, but still something may not come. That usually is the social respect. Then people with even money will start to aspire for more, they desire for more, then they will want the social respect. So the people who keep the desire of man is a never-ending thing, right? Human beings, they aspire for many things, they will never be satisfied. The desires keeps on coming. So if desires keeps on coming, if human beings cannot be happy even if they get something, then how can he get happiness? This concept is called self actualization pyramid. This says that human beings always aspire for more. They try to climb the ladders of the pyramid. They will not be satisfied. And it's quite natural. When you study sociology or psychology, you will understand this. They always want to get more things in life. That is quite normal also. There is nothing to be ashamed. But you should understand that if you attach happiness to any of these things, suppose, let's say you feel that happiness can be attached to two things. It can be attached to material things, it can be attached to other things. I mean, if you attach happiness to getting an iPhone, iPad, or a MacBook, many people attach their happiness to that, right? Like getting a, let's say, Mercedes Benz or an Audi car. They feel that if I get that car, I will get that social respect from others and be happy. They are attaching their happiness to the material things. But some people, what they think, they will say that rather than materialist thing, they will invest on themselves. Like I will take a degree, I will do a post graduation, I will do a PhD, I will invest on my education myself. And same thing, right? They are investing on material things. Again, many of us are doing education not for ourselves, but to prove others or to get self-respect. Even getting the aiming for civil service is actually for to get the approval of others to some extent or to a greater extent. So again, it's not materialistic, but it's again actually for to get the respect of others to climb the self-actualization pyramid. That is what you are doing. But if you get a question like this, you can also come up with multiple dimensions. If you can draw this figure also, your answer may stand out. There are many things like, and there are a lot of study which is still happening across the world, like what can bring happiness, what can result in more happiness in the world. And as you know, Bhutan has an index which measures happiness, right? Rather than the money, they measure happiness. They give value to happiness. So what can bring happiness? So you should know like what can bring happiness. When you become the collector of your district, you should make your people, I mean, those who are residing in your district happy, right? So you should know what can make them happy. Good environment can make them happy. Freedom can make them happy. Wealth can to some extent can make them happy. Good law and order situation in the district can make them happy. So happiness, many things, but can we link it to just one thing? Appreciation usually makes us happy. And happiness in general is considered as a positive thing, right? Is it negative in some extent? Which is the happiest country in the world? I think Finland is considered as on this index of happiness. I think Finland is considered as one of the happiest countries in the world. And do you know the suicide rate of Finland? It is also very high. Why the happiest country has more suicides? There also suicide is high, right? Japan also has a very important concept connected with ikigai. Why? I mean, people, we may think that they have happiness, but why the suicides are high there? Not exactly peer pressure. Not exactly. Any other point? No, the competition also in Finland is not the kind of competition we see in India. The education system, all things are different. What can be the reason of happiness? I mean, high suicide rate, irrespective of high happiness. Correct. Yeah, it's connected to what just Rohan said. Happiness can sometimes be boring, right? Sometimes be boring. Because they already have what they want. They already got everything. They have wealth, they have health, all their living standards are high. They already have everything. They don't have anything more to do in life. No challenges. So the happiness can be boring sometimes. Sometimes it's good to be unhappy. So we'll live longer. So that is the concept. So it's a lot of concepts can be connected with happiness. So another concept, I mean, after discussing the concept of ikigai, we'll stop and then continue. We'll take a break and then continue. So Subiksha just said about Japan. Japanese people tend to live longer. Islands of Japan, the people tend to live longer. So there was a study which conducted in the islands of Japan, and they found that the reason for the long life of Japanese people is because of a concept called ikigai. There is a book also called Ikigai. So what is ikigai? Anybody online? I think today I missed the online aspirants. Anybody online? You can. Today I think you can use the text chat option. We are testing out different options. If any of you can use the text chat option, you can use type it. Do any of you know the concept of ikigai? What is the word meaning of ikigai? Ikigai means
secret of
purpose
happiness.
of life. Actually, the exact translation is not available. It's only can be connected only with Japanese people, but a rough translation is like the purpose of life. With what purpose you are waking up every day, every morning. Something which wakes us every day is what ikigai. So this is the purpose of your life. So Japanese people know their ikigai. They know their ikigai, their purpose of life. They know, and their purpose of life to a great extent overlaps with the profession. Then they will be happy. I will say this. I will explain this. Okay. So now there are a lot of people in Indian IT industry. There are many people in IT industry, banking sector. But if you ask them, are you happy? They say that I'm not. Most of them will say that I'm getting good salary, but I'm not happy with the job. They're not happy. Why people in IT industry, banking sector are not happy? In general, I'm saying general. Okay, there can be happy people there, but we'll come to that. But why a majority of people who are in the IT sector or banking sector or many other jobs are not happy? If you ask the let's say you are going to be in the government service, if you ask the particularly the lower level of bureaucracy, the clerks, LD clerks or UD clerks, and ask them, are you happy in your job? What can be the most likely answer? Will they say they are happy? Again, there can be happy persons, definitely there can be, but majority I'm saying will be unhappy. Why they are unhappy? Or let's look at the IT industry. So let's say Rohan, let's take the example. If you get IT placement after your engineering, will you be happy? You may not be, right? Why you may not be happy? Okay. You think that it's if you take a engineering degree from a good college, most people will get a placement in an IT job. So there is no particular effort needed to that. So you are saying that you will be unhappy because you may get a job without any effort. So you are unhappy. Or is it like that job does not create any interest in you? It may not challenge you. Okay. Okay, Harishant, what do you think as the reason, like many people in the IT industry are not happy now? Okay, so the Harishant's viewpoint is that most of the IT people have very less chance of corporate growth. So they realize that most of them will be stagnant in their career. When they realize that, they will be unhappy. So that's what he said. Any other viewpoint from any others? Static nature of their job, most of the routine, mundane nature of the job, right? Every day the same job, right? If you look at the banking job, every day they will be connected with money, right? The job nature of the job is not changing, so it's kind of boring, right? Is that the case? Okay, that can be the case. That can be the case. So what makes them happy? If the job does not make them happy, what makes them happy? Sometimes their passion lies somewhere, right? They will try to do their passions after the job. Maybe watching a film, maybe going for a travel, or exploring a restaurant to have a tasty food. Something like that. If food is their passion, they will explore food. If films are their passion, they will explore film. If dance is their passion, they will explore dance after the work hours. Or if reading books is their passion, they will try to read books after that. Then they will try to find happiness, isn't it? Why this is happening? Because they are not finding happiness in their job. But if you ask Kamal Hassan or Mammootty, like what is happiness, they say that film acting is giving them happiness, film is giving them happiness. I mean, cinema is their first love. That is what they will say, right? They always want to do work. They enjoy their work, right? But at the same time, majority of the people don't enjoy their work. They cannot find happiness in what they are doing, so they are trying to find happiness elsewhere. So after office, they will not be happy in the, let's say they are working for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. That 9 hours or 10 hours, it's like full pain for them. They are not finding any happiness, and sometimes the job requires commutation. So to and fro travel itself, if you are in Bangalore, maybe 1 hour travel one side, 1 hour travel the other side. So almost 12 hours in a day is gone. And if you sleeping 8 hours, that it's also. So the time to be happy is actually 6 hours. In that, they have to find happiness. The other full time, they are unhappy. But those people, like gave the examples of, I mean, those, let's say Kamal Hassan or Mammootty or Amitabh Bachchan, they will be happy because why? They're enjoying what they are doing. Correct. They're enjoying what they are doing. They are not considering work as a pain, but work itself is giving them happiness. So the concept of ikigai is that you will be happy if 3 things overlap. What are the 3 things which overlap?
What you love, what you are good at.
Mainly, it will you will be happy if your passion overlaps with profession. If your passion for Mammootty, his passion was to act. He loves acting. So when he loves acting and his profession is a professional actor, he's not doing it as a pastime. He's a professional actor. So when his passion overlaps with profession, there is an overlap. So at that time, he is happy. In his case, there's a full overlap. His passion and profession are the same. So the overlap is like full. There's only one circle there. So his passion and profession are both the same. So there is entire overlap. So he's happy. So the ikigai says that Japanese people, when they initially try to find their passion. They find their passion and they work in the area of their passion, they will be happy. Why? What happens with most Indians is that their passion, they may not have found it, or they may have realized that they don't have any passion. They don't have any passion to work in a banking sector. The banking sector is not something that entertains them. There is no enjoyment there. Their passion lies elsewhere. But they are forced to work there because they need their livelihood to be met and they need food to eat, right? For daily bread, they are using the job, which is not giving any satisfaction, but their passion lies elsewhere. So there is very little overlap or no overlap at all. So they do not get happiness. So if your passion and profession overlaps, you get happiness. And Japanese people in that particular island try to follow their passion. It can be agriculture, it can be something else. They follow that passion and they become happy. So if you want to be civil servants, first you should realize this. Your profession is going to be a civil servant. You are going to be a servant of the public. You are not going to be a master of the public. You are supposed to be a servant of the public. You are going to serve people. You are trying to do good to people. And that does not, I mean, theoretically, it's very interesting, like to help others. But it may not be always like that. I mean, it's not like physically you are going to, distribute money to each and every people. You may be helping in different ways by providing better education, by providing better health. Usually most of the time you'll be sitting desks, evaluating files, you'll be signing, but each sign is valuable. But only if that excites you, only if your passion and profession overlaps, you will be happy. And even if you are not cracking UPSC, the thing which you have to choose is that you should choose a field where your profession overlaps your passion. Otherwise, you will not be generally happy. You can be happy only outside office hours. Again, if you find your passion there. But otherwise, if you find a job where you are passionate, the job itself will give you happiness. That is the case. So teachers are generally happy because it's a job which gives a lot of satisfaction. Because people who love teaching, if they start to teach, and if the students reciprocate that he's a good teacher and he's learning, so he's getting a lot of satisfaction. So that is something which he enjoys. And finally, there is another thing which is there. And he's doing a passion and profession are the same, and he should get some monetary benefit from that, right? Otherwise, it may not result in happiness. And there are other things that should come out from this. There should be passion. The passion should same as the profession. From the profession or the passion, the person who is doing it should get some monetary benefit. He should get some financial resources. Finally, that will make him self-sufficient. He will be financially secure. he will have more freedom. Finally, he will get more satisfaction when he realizes that the services he creates more value to others. When he finds what he provides is useful to others, or when others say that this person is a person of value, this person is helpful to us, when he understands or when he gets the feedback, he will be much more happy. So only when that. So Mammootty will be happy when others, when he follows his passion, he acts in cinema, but suppose he is not getting any remuneration for his work. Maybe for the first film that is okay, he may be doing for that, but for the next 10 years, 20 films, he is not getting any remuneration. How will he satisfy his basic needs? He needs to get income, right? From the profession, he is going to get income. Then he'll be more happy. He's following his passion, he's doing his work, and he's getting income. But finally, what happens when others are saying that what he does through his profession, through his passion, is not only useful to him, but is extremely useful to others. It's entertaining us. It's providing happiness to us. Then he will also be happy because his value is giving happiness to others. So that is the concept of ikigai. You can also think that the same thing whenever you are doing something in future, the same thing should happen. So if you are becoming a civil servant, there should be a passion for you to become a civil servant, to do service to the society. You do that as a profession. You make money not by collecting bribes, but through the salary. Otherwise, that may create some problems later. So through the salary, then you not only do your job, but if you can provide some value to others through your service, others start to reciprocate and encourage that what you are doing is good, and when you get public support, you will become more happy. So that is the concept of ikigai. Okay, so the topic which we are discussing is actually about whether it is ethically right to steal. So just to confirm, probably this will be the confirmation every time. Those who are sitting online can also see and hear me, right? You can just use the type chat for today. Tomorrow onwards, we'll again enable the voice chat. We are just testing out different options. Yes, okay. Thank you, Arjun, for confirming. Okay, great. So what we were discussing is that whether it is ethically right to steal or ethically wrong to steal. So to the answer again, if you ask me whether it's ethical, it depends on the situation. It depends on the individual to steal, right? There can be robbers who may be stealing from wealthy people or corrupt politicians or corrupt people and distributing the money to others. For him, that is ethical to him. According to him, that is ethical. But based on the moral standards or based on the legal standards, that may be immoral, that may be illegal, but for him, that is ethical. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? So being ethical is something individualistic. That is the perspective of an individual. Okay. Now, this analogy I already gave in the first class, so this is just a revision. I mentioned like, how can you compare ethics and morals? I mentioned that you can compare ethics with an automobile engineer and morals with a car driver. So the car driver, what he does is that he will just drive the car. He may not be knowing the details of the engine, how the engine works, how the internal combustion engine works. He may not be knowing. He may know how to drive a car. He can, when he apply accelerator, the car will move. When he apply brakes, the car will stop. The car driver will only know that. But the theory part of that, the reason why this happens, the car driver may not be aware. But the automobile engineers know that. So ethics is like by knowing the reason why this is right, how it happens, what is the reason behind it, that a person who is ethical should understand and analyze. But if you are being moral, means you are just blindly following what the society dictates. You are just believing what the society says as right. So your reasoning part is not applied there. Able to understand? Okay. So now, So this is, if you look at the UPSC syllabus for General Studies Paper 4, Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude, the first term which is mentioned there is ethics and human interface. That is the first part of the syllabus. So the term is the ethics, which I have already discussed what is ethics. Then the other term is human interface, how it is connected with humans. These are the subtopics mentioned in this. Essence, determinants and consequences of ethics in human actions, dimensions of ethics, ethics in private and public relationships. These are what are mentioned in the UPSC syllabus. Subtopics, mainly ethics, but under ethics, these are what is mentioned. Essence of ethics, determinants of ethics, consequences of ethics, dimensions of ethics, ethics in private and public relationship. Each of these can be a question area. Like essence of ethics means what is ethics, that we have already covered. Like what exactly is ethics? What is the concept of ethics, definition of ethics, essence of ethics, that we have discussed. Determinants of ethics and consequences of ethics we'll be discussing today itself. What determines ethics and what are the consequences? If you act in an ethical way, what can be the consequences? If you don't act in an ethical way, what are the consequences? That part we will discuss. Again, dimensions of ethics. Dimensions of ethics means different aspects of ethics, different branches of ethics, the subcomponents of ethics. That part we'll discuss. Then the need of ethics in private relationships, need of ethics in public relationships. These are the aspects we'll be discussing. So let's look at the first aspect, essence of ethics. This part we already discussed. Ethics is about reasoning about how one should act in a given circumstance, or one particular circumstance, how one should act. That is how to do the right action. This is a dilemma, right? As a civil servant, you are going to face this every day in life. Which is the right aspect? You may not know. You may be in a, that is a challenge also for you. Sometimes you may be knowing what is right, what is wrong. Sometimes you may not also know what is right, which action is right, because your actions are not limited to yourself. It may have a lot of consequences. The decision you take may have a lot of consequences. It can affect a lot of others. So that adds a lot of risk. You will be also in a pressure, tension to take the right decision. Sometimes there can be pressure on you to take the opposite decision. So following that order from the, let's say, the political supervisors of you may be easy, but you may have some conflict. You may not feel that is right. So then what decision you should take? What values should you uphold? That all things are crucial. So in this class, we'll deal the basics of that. The purpose of the ethics paper is to give a basic ideology of that. When you get selection, when you go to training in Missouri, you'll get more training regarding this, like how should we approach situations when you face dilemmas with respect to decision making. You will get more training, but also many of the things you may not get training. You learn directly in field. Many things everything cannot be taught, right? Some things can only be learned through experience. But UPSC wants future civil servants to learn all these things even before joining civil service. So that is the reason why this particular paper is introduced. They don't want you to be given training after you become civil servants, but before becoming civil servant, UPSC wants you to be ethical, you be efficient, to have right attitude, to have right aptitude, to have the necessary skill sets. That includes decision making skill sets, problem solving skill set, analytical skill set, reasoning skill sets. All such skills the UPSC expects you to develop while you prepare for the exam itself. That is why there is a paper. So the initial part of the training comes from here itself. You should develop that skill from here. And now, ethics is the study of morality also, because it's a moral philosophy, right? When you study ethics, you will be studying about the morals also. What is said to be right by the society, you will analyze it, whether that is right, whether that is wrong. I mean, in India now, I mean, let's say euthanasia, mercy killing is not widely encouraged. So to only some extent, only passive euthanasia is recognized. Active euthanasia is not recognized. So these are all morals, what is dictated by the society. So when you study ethics, you will be studying each of these topics. Many of these topics we discussed in the last class, like whether we should be encouraged, whether we should be support mercy killing, that is euthanasia, whether we should support capital punishment, whether we should support abortion, whether we should support reservation. There are many number of things, whether it should be support let's say encounter killings, whether should support the killings by armed forces, many things, whether I mean killing animals, should it be allowed, should all be taken the route of being vegetarianism. Even vegetarianism, can plants be killed? Don't they also have life? Can we take the life of plants? So all these are questions, right? So all these comes under ethics, the ethics of that. So, but for that, we'll be initially studying what is taught by the society, each of the societies, what they consider as right. That aspect we'll be initially learning. Then we'll apply our logic to that. And determinants of ethics. So what determines ethics? So each of you may have individualistic viewpoints about what is right or wrong, but how that comes into being? Are we all starting from a blank slate regarding what is right or what is wrong? We may not be starting from a blank slate, right? We cannot, because there are all pre-learnings to us. When right from our childhood, our parents will say that this is right, this is wrong. There are many things which are fed into human brain right from childhood. Our rights are wrong are dependent on many things. Our ethics is dependent on many things, right? So for example, if you look at the American society, most of the criminal cases are registered against the black persons. So why that happens? It can be a racial impartiality or a racial bias, it can be, or it can be the result of the social upbringing also. It can be genetical, it can be just a bias, or it can be the issues with the social upbringing, or it can be because of their social circumstances. They are more likely to become criminals because of their social and economic background. It can be this, but the truth is that statistically, most of the criminal cases or those who are serving in the prisons are mostly black people. If you look at the Indian scenario also, if you look at the prisoners or those who are convicted, if you look at their social and economic profile, you can see that they are coming from a very poor social and economic profile. So that is why I again asked, I mean, who is liable for creating criminals? Are they are born as criminals, or they are made criminals by the society? Who is the culprit here? So they may have wrong ethical values. Those who are turning criminals, they have the wrong criminal mind, wrong ethical value sets. There is something wrong with them, right? Those who are turning into criminals, those who are indulging in criminal activities, there is something wrong with them. So what can be wrong with them? Their value system. What is value system? What is a value? Let's discuss value also, then we'll understand, because I will be using the term value very often. So let's understand the concept of value. We understood the concept of ethics, morals, laws. Now let's understand the concept of value also. What is a value? VALUE, value. I forgot your name. You're Srihari, right? Srihari. Yes. What is value? Person's belief and choices. Yeah, to a great extent, that is correct. Any other viewpoints? What is value? Qualities of a person. Okay. Any other point? Those who can online can also comment. Okay. I can see your chats. So those who are online, if you want to participate in the discussion, just mention like what is value according to you? Definition of value. Then we'll see some examples also. What are the things you consider as value? You can give examples also. Honesty is a value. Good, very good. So for you, honesty is a value. So why honesty is a value? Because that is a belief, right? Good. So kindness is a value. Kindness is an example of a value. Okay, very good. Any other examples of values? Let's look at examples. Then we'll see the definition. Then it will be easy. Let's start from examples. Can you give some examples of values? Integrity is a value. Definitely. Yes. Any other values? Gratitude, saying thanks to somebody is a value. Being grateful is a value. Okay. Discipline is a value. Perfect. Any other values? Giving respect. Giving respect is a value. Okay. Empathy is a value. Okay. Any other values? Any other values? Ashley, can you think of some values? Or your own values? What you sharing is a value. Sharing with others is a value. Shirag, can you think of some values? Right conduct is a value. Non-violence is a value. Arjun said like non-violence is a value. Yes. That is a value upheld by Gandhiji, right? Non-violence. Yes. Service, serving others is a value. Okay. So then we now have a lot of examples of values. So now what exactly is a value? Then how can you now know different examples of values? Can you think of a definition of a value, or what is concept of value? Very, very simple. I will encourage you to speak up initially. Codes of conduct also is connected with value. Is connected with value. How will you define the concept of value? It's very simple. From the word itself, you can connect that. Value is something which is valuable to you. What you consider as valuable is a value for you. What you consider as valuable. Okay. So if you value honesty, that is a value, because you consider that as a valuable. You consider that as valuable, and at any point of time you are not ready to get rid of that quality, because that is a value, that is a belief, that is a value, that is something which you consider very close to your heart. That is you consider as a value, because that is something you consider as valuable. For example, Rohan said like he don't want to achieve All India rank 1 without putting hard work. For him, what is value? Hard work is a value, because he value hard work. For some others, maybe smart work is a value. So that is a value, because that person considers that as valuable. That is valuable. He will not be he will at any point of time, at any pressure situation, he will not get rid of that value. For Gandhi, non-violence was a value which he tried to upheld at every point of time. Maybe at the time of Quit India movement, there was some kind of going behind that, but not explicitly. But at that time, Gandhi gave a slogan like "Do or die." But even before that, all the times, at the time of non-cooperation movement in 1922, even at the time of Chauri Chaura incident, he actually gave back. I mean, he dissolved the non-cooperation movement because of just one incident, Chauri Chaura incident, in which the Indians, freedom fighters, turned violent and they burned a police station. So that was against the value of Gandhi, against the value of non-violence. So he actually dissolved the non-cooperation movement because of that, because he was not ready to go against a value which he upheld. So each of you will have some values right from birth. Some values will be inculcated by the family, by the schools. If you are born in a good family with good value system, you will imbibe the values of your parents. If you are trained in a good school, you will get that value system from the school. If you are in a good company of friends, you will imbibe certain qualities from your friends. Okay. So in that perspective, I will also connect with one another thing. There was another study. I will give you examples of different studies. Okay. There was one study in which successful people from different categories are evaluated. and the purpose of the study is to found what was common in the successful people. There's one thing which was common in all the successful people. What was, do you know what was that? We in the first class we discussed like what are the ingredients of success, right? Different ingredients of success we mentioned. So this part of that one particular ingredient which was most crucial for success. One thing was common for successful people. Pardon? Courage. Courage. Okay. Courage was all necessary for success, but the point which I am trying to give you in this class is something different. What can give you some edge to others, or what can make you more successful in an easy way when compared to others? Not exactly. You're coming closer. Consistency. We discussed that consistency, focus, discipline, hard work. All these things are necessary for success. I discussed. Even the privilege is there. Luck is also a factor. We discussed the more than 20 factors which can help you succeed. We discussed in the first class. But in this particular class, I want to give emphasis to another aspect, which is considered as one of the crucial factors for success. Perseverance is definitely one factor, but that is not what I want to try today to give you, make you aware. Not exactly. Not experience. Being in the right company. Being in the right company. Being in the right peer group. Being in the right, getting mentored by the right mentors. That means being in the correct group will help you achieve more. If you look at all the successful people, they keep company with people who are already successful. If you look at Bill Gates, he may have connection with Steve Jobs as well. He may have connection with Warren Buffett as well. So they keep connections with people who are already successful, who are already thinking alike or much above than them. So your company determines where you reach. You are actually the average of the last 5 people you were with. Have you heard this quote? You are actually the average of the last 5 people who were you with. So that means who you keep company determines where you reach. If you want to go higher, keep company with people who have achieved a lot more than you. You should be company with people who may be at a lower level than you. You should keep company with your peers, but always also keep company with some mentors who have achieved a lot more than you, who have already become successful. Then only you can learn from them. If you are actually the average of the people who are with you, so being in the right company is very crucial. Okay, so that determines where you reach, because it's the human tendency to copy others, imitate others. If you imitate success, you also will become successful. But if you imitate failure, if you are, let's say you are in a hostel and all your hostel mates wake up by, let's say 10 a.m. in the morning, so you will also get a natural tendency to imitate others, and you will also start to become lazy. You will also start to wake up very late. But all your hostel mates, let's suppose they wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, you will also get an automatic feeling, like you will feel a guilt in your mind. Like if you're waking up late, you will automatically start to imitate others who are doing hard work, because the value system of others is hard work. You will also start to put hard work. That is one purpose why the civil service aspirants are using reading room nowadays, because when they see others doing the hard work, they try to imitate that. So so that is the reason. So I connected with this particular concept with this is because you learn from others, you learn from your peer group. So the value system of your peer group is not that great. If they don't have good values, if they are lazy, if they are not hardworking, if they are not honest, if they are corrupt, and if you are in the group, you will get that bad values, or there is no values at all, but that qualities will get imbibed by you. But if you are in a group of people with a lot of integrity, high value system, that value system will automatically come to you. So take time to select your company. That is the main point. Okay, so now coming back to the discussion topic, Determinants of ethics. So I've said that no people, no person start from a blank slate regarding what is considered as right or wrong. There are certain determinants of your ethics. So what are the determinants? What are the sources which determines your ethics? Religion is a major source of ethics. So what is considered, I mean, all religions are basically good, right? It teaches what is right and wrong, be it Christianity, be it Islam, be it Hinduism, be it Buddhism, Jainism. Every religion is about what is right and what is wrong. There can be some variations, but no religion teaches to do harm to others. Every religion teaches the essence of all religion is love of others. Correct. So they teach us certain things, but there can be certain things which are forbidden by one religion, which may be allowed by other religion. There can be some variations, but the inner essence of all religion is like love towards others, to do no harm to others. This is like that. But what is right and wrong can be formulated or dictated by religion. Religion can be one source of your personal ethics. It is definitely the source of morality. I mean, what is right and wrong for the society. But many being part of the society, individuals are also influenced by religion. Our right and wrong is highly influenced by religion. So religion is a source of ethics. So apart from religion, are there any other sources of ethics? Let's look at second thing, law. Law is a source of ethics for many of us. So if there is a law is the law. I mean, that is a rule of the land, right? That is what is dictated by the state. What is right and what is wrong. So that automatically becomes our ethics. When we live in India, what is considered as law of the land automatically becomes our ethics. So there is capital punishment for heinous crimes in India, rarest of the rare crimes. India awards capital punishment. For us, when we live in such a country, we naturally think that it's okay, or it is right to kill a person who does heinous crimes, who does the rarest of the rare crimes. He is actually a burden to the society and is a threat to the society, and it's quite okay or right to terminate his life. Because that ethics, from where that ethics come from? That ethics come from the law. That ethics come from the IPC, Article 302. So law is a determinant of ethics. Just like religion, law is a determinant of ethics. Sometimes these are all determinants. It does not mean that you will exactly follow what is said by religion or what is exactly said by law, but they influence you. All these will influence you. Your ethics is influenced by this. Then, will your family influence your ethics? Yes. Will your school influence your ethics? Will your friends influence your ethics? Yes. All these are, it's not explicitly written there, but when you write exam, you can know it. Most of the things, no need to, I mean, by heart anything. Ethics, entire ethics paper, no need to by heart. Just listen pay attention in the class, you can automatically understand. It's all about understanding. When we discuss in the class, you will automatically understand, then you can write it. But only if you understand. For example, you now learned what is value. What is valuable to you is value. That's it. If you understood that concept, it's very easy. Ethics is what is right and wrong. Very simple. Then you can, any question comes, you get the exact definition. This is actually what the invigilator is looking at. If you know exactly what is ethics, you can write that. If the evaluator finds the word ethics is a branch of philosophy which deals with what is right and wrong, you get full marks. Similarly, if a question comes, what is value? What is valuable for a person? If that is mentioned, you get full marks. But that should be there. That particular aspect should be there. It shows that you have clear clarity on the subject. So religion determines your ethical standards. Law determines your ethical standards. Society determines your ethical standards or ethical values. Society to a great extent. Very few people have courage to think against the society. It's very hard also. It's a hard path to take a stand against the society, right? But very few people take courage to do that. And particularly, if you have conviction that your stand is right, you should definitely take it. Sometimes you may be able to change the society. Society may be wrong. you can be right. I mean, India is a democracy country where the majority decision becomes the major decision, right? Democracy works by the principle of majority, but majority may not be always right. So even if the majority is against you, if nobody is supporting you, but if you have a belief that what you think is right, you should stand and uphold that particular viewpoint. Individuals can determine your ethics. Your own knowledge can determine your ethics. What you have learned through books, what you have learned through talking to others, what you have learned by watching films, all these can influence, right? So your own knowledge determines your ethics. If you are knowledgeable, only if you start thinking in this direction, others are not even bother about what is ethics or what is not ethics. We are also learning this subject because UPSC forced us to learn. But at least anyway, to crack this exam, you have to learn it. There is no choice. But now we are thinking like what is right, what is wrong, whether should capital punishment be abolished or not. All these things we are discussing. Whether there should be sedition law in India, whether there should be contempt of court in India. There are different aspects of ethics or defamation. Should it be criminal? Whether adultery should be criminal or not. Adultery, is it criminal in India now? It is not criminal now. It was previously. In last 2-3 years, many laws have changed. So adultery is not a criminal offense now. It's only a ground of divorce. Previously, it was a criminal offense. And time also determines what is ethical and what is not ethical. I mean, we discussed that. Many things which were ethical before is unethical before is considered ethical, and many things which were ethical at that time is unethical, or immoral became moral, and moral became immoral. What are the consequences of ethics? We'll discuss in the class. Consequences of ethics. Consequences of ethics means whenever you see these things in exam hall, when you get a question like what are the consequences of ethics, always think of multiple sides. Just don't write only one side. Always write at least two sides. Every coin has two sides, right? So consequences of ethics. Suppose Subiksha is a very ethical person. So what are the consequences of Subiksha being ethical? Are there only positive consequences, or can there be negative consequences? And positive consequences only for Subiksha or for others as well. Negative consequences only for Subiksha or others as well. Think in this direction. So 4 quadrants we have got, right? So consequences of ethics. I'm not explaining every aspect, but I'm saying that if you get a question like this, what you have to do, you have to think in this direction. Positive, negative. Positive for you, positive for others. Negative for you, negative for others. Think like this. So now just think in the class, like what are the positive and negative consequences of ethics? Just say some positive consequences of is it good people all being ethical? Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. So what may be ethical for you may not be ethical for others. You're right. Is it ethical to kill a person? Again, we said right. If it is for self-defense, if that particular person is a threat to a society, suppose ethics is actually for the benefit of the society. We discussed, right? So there is a criminal who is a real threat to the society, and he entered your village, and you may have ethical standard that you want to do good for the society, and that person is beyond any reform. There is no chance and there is no scope for reform of that particular person, and is a harm to the society altogether. You may try to terminate the life of that person, and that you may consider ethical also. So ethics, but for other person, you may think that you don't have any right to take the life of the other person. So it can differ. That we have discussed. But what are the positive consequences of being ethical? Makes us a better person. So we will become a better person. What are the benefits of being a better person? What are the benefits for us as such? If we are becoming a better person, if all the students in this class, if you are all ethical, so the benefit is actually the others are benefited. If Rohan is ethical, all others will benefit, right? The way you interact with Rohan, it will become really easy. You get compassion, you get empathy, you get help from Rohan. You can get justice. He will be always behaving in a honest manner. So you get what you expect. There will not be any issues. There will be less conflict. So it will be there will be happy environment inside the class, right? If he becomes ethical, the class itself becomes, I mean, if one person can bring some changes. So all of you are ethical, the whole society will change, or the whole class will change, right? So it will be really good environment altogether. Correct? Are you agreeing that? So ethics brings positive consequences. So what is it? Brings more happiness in the society. Correct? Are you agreeing? Bring more happiness, more freedom. I mean, everybody will respect the right of others. So more freedom it can bring. What else? More harmony in the society, more peace in the society. What else? Think like this. It's how you will be writing mains answers. Actually, we don't have to study anything. When we think, we can invent answers, create answers. Just think. Everyone can contribute better. Everyone can realize their potential better. If they have more opportunities. Think what if we are not ethical, if persons are not ethical, think what negative consequences can happen. Then you will understand what the opposite will be, the positive consequence. Right? Suppose there are a lot of criminals here, or all the doctors are unethical, all the lawyers are unethical, all the politicians are unethical, all the civil servants are unethical. How difficult it will be to live in that society. Correct. So think the reverse, positive consequences, better order in the society, right? Suppose you are going to catch a bus. You are ethical. You only get into a bus by standing in a queue. But all others are running and there is complete disorder. And whoever tries to, I mean, push others and get into the bus first will catch the seat. So it's based on muscle power, right? It's not based on who comes first or who stands in a queue. But even if you are ethical, the unethical persons are getting ahead of you. Correct. There is no equal chance, or there is no priority based on who came first. Those who came out later, because of they having physical strength, they can overtake you, which is unethical, which is creating disorder. But if everybody is ethical, they will themselves understand and correct themselves. They will bother about others. They will have empathy about others, and they will follow the rules by themselves. Even if nobody is dictating it, they will stand in the queue. So if everybody is ethical, there will be more order in the society, more harmony in the society. Can you think of something else? Lesser crimes. It will create lesser crimes. And we discuss on some of the values. I just want to discuss some more values. Is wealth a value? It can be also value, right? If somebody is valuing wealth, creating money, it can be something which he values. Many people value that. Money is something valued by almost everyone. So that is also a value. Creating wealth, creating money, that is a value. Is education a value? Yes, education is a value. Getting a job, getting into IAS, is it a value? I mean, getting into IAS is as such, but Indian Administrative Service, working in that, it is considered as something of valuable, is a prestigious in nature by many others, right? So all these are in some instance of some value. Freedom is a value. Happiness is a value. If you value happiness, you will strive for it. So you usually aspire something. Also giving respect. I think Subhisha said right about respect. I mean, if you go to North India, everybody calls others with an extension G, right? Rahul Ji, Rohan Ji. They will address like G, because that is a value system there. They are giving respect. And now maybe in South India, if some elder comes, we will stand up. Or maybe a teacher comes, we automatically stand up, because that is taught right from birth. A child may not know, but that is inculcated by the society, maybe from the family, from the school. When the teacher comes, initially they will be instructed. Then the teacher comes, you all have to stand up and say good morning. So, but naturally that becomes a habit, that becomes involuntary, that becomes a value. That is something which is considered as something that should be valued, respected. So giving respect to elders is a value, but in some societies that may not be the case. I mean, North Indians not even call the name, they will add G. But if you look at foreign countries, they will call even elders by their name. I mean, what in South India or in India, we never call our father with their first name. But if you look at if you maybe in foreign countries, they may call, their value system is different. What they consider as value is different. Do you understand? Punctuality can be a value, freedom can be a value. All these are values. So now coming to the ethics part also, the discussion of providing value education in schools is connection with this. It is now said that the whole education system should be value-based education system, because from schools we are now only learning subjects. We are learning history, we are learning geography, we are learning economics, we are learning computer science, but we are not learning values. We are not learning the necessary values one should have. All these things which we discussed are values. Being happy is a value, being successful is a value, being able to create wealth is a value, being able to accumulate knowledge is a value, having different skill sets is a value, or being honest is a value, being having integrity is a value. All these are values. But now what happens? The schools are not providing the values. They are not inculcating the necessary values. I'm not saying they are not inculcating any values, but if they are successful, there will be less crimes in the society. There will be less criminals. If we just look at go in a road, we can see how many road rage incidents are happening every day. If some two people are on the road with two vehicles, there will be definitely some shouting, some road rage incidents are happening, because there is no patience, there is no empathy, there is no sympathy. Everybody is in a hurry. If we are in a traffic light and if there is a 2-second wait in a traffic light, you can hear horns from behind. Everybody is impatient because of the lack of necessary values. So that is why this paper values is also very important, but you should understand what exactly is values. And it is highly connected with this, but the difference is that value is a quality. What is the difference between value and ethics? Value stands on its own. Honesty is a value. Education is a value. Wealth is a value. Punctuality is a value. It stands on its own. It's a quality. It's a discrete quality. It stands on its own. But what is ethics? Ethics is what is right or wrong. You have to decide what is right or wrong. But that is something which is you consider as a value. But it's very difficult to go against a value. Suppose from the childhood days, you will be taught that teachers should be called like sir or madam. In India, it's like that. Every teacher comes, you will be instructed to call him either sir or teacher or madam. It will be like that. But suppose you go to a foreign country and you will be instructed, you should not call teachers by sir or madam. You should only call by their names, first name. There should not be sir or madam. That is something like a British legacy slavery kind of system. There, why should you call a teacher sir or a madam? You should call only by their names. But your value system is different. You are brought up in a value system where you call teachers, a male teacher as sir or a female teacher as a madam. That is the value system in which you are brought up. But if you are suddenly asked to change and asked to call others, it will be really difficult for you, because you are asked to act against your value system. Acting against your value system is very difficult. Suppose you are not corrupt, and if a politician pressurizes you to do a corruption, you are actually acting against your value system, which is a very difficult thing. You will feel guilt. Definitely you will feel guilt, because that is fundamentally against your value system. But if your value system is weak, suppose you don't have any value system at all, you are very much flexible. I mean, if sometimes corruption is okay, chalta hai, chalta attitude. If that is like, if you have an attitude like being a little bit corrupt is okay, if your value system is like that, or sometimes some people have an attitude like corruption is good for the economy. There is such kind of attitude also is there. Even if we are doing corruption, we are bringing some development. So being corruption is okay. Even if I am taking some share of that particular project, I am bringing that project and I am providing some jobs in the country. So being corrupt is okay. Some people have such kind of attitude. For them, there is no guilt feeling. If they are doing some corruption, there is no guilt feeling. But If your value system is something like that, there is zero tolerance towards corruption. I don't need any government money. I don't need any public money. And if somebody is forcing to do corruption, you are acting against your conscience. Conscience also is comes from the main things. I mean, what you are brought up from the religion, from the society, from the family, from the school. That is how you develop your conscience. But if you are asked to act against your conscience, you will feel guilt. So adhering to an ethical standpoint usually bring happiness, and not adhering to ethical standpoint, it will create a guilt feeling because you have done an act against your conscience, and it is not easy to get over that. You may not be able to sleep peacefully after that because that will be there in your mind. Those who have conscience. So in order to develop that, UPSC has included these topics. So let's look at this. I'm not taking much time. Let's look at some of the aspects. What are the positive consequences? It will safeguard the society. You will get a feel like you are feeling good. You will. I mean, those who are credible. Those who are ethical, they get a feeling of. They will develop more credibility in society. They will create more trust. Others will feel that this person can be trusted. Because if you are unethical, how will a person trust you? Even if there is a in one instance, suppose you cheated in the exam hall, in the next time you studied hard and you did well, but even when you did hard work, you will have a shade of the previous history. The others will think that whenever you did hard work also, you scored well because of cheating, because your integrity is lost. Are you able to understand? So to develop trust, we have to be ethical. We should have that quality of integrity. I will discuss integrity in detail. That is a separate topic. And satisfying basic needs also, you need to have ethics. Otherwise, even the basic rights can be violated. And if you are unethical, the negative consequences can be, there can be loss of trust. There can be nepotism. What is nepotism? Nepotism is giving favors to those who are close with us. That is nepotism. So if you have very low ethical standards, when you are in service, you try to favor your friends, your relatives when compared to others. You will have some bias towards them. You will be impartial. You will show nepotic tendencies. So that is not good. When you are becoming a civil servant, you should be impartial. Never show favorism. So now you can see that many ministers show nepotism, right? Or they give jobs to all their family members when they are in government service. All the major posts will be given to their family members, which is nepotism. Actually, there is a rules of how every post should be. How employment should be generated to each post. They will bypass it and they will inform only the family members. They will make change the rules, frame the rules in such a way that they will be given intimation and somehow they will appoint them. This is nepotism. That all these things happens because of the corruption, crimes. All these happens because of low ethical values. And corruption also does not mean just monetary corruption. When we think of corruption, we'll think that corruption is just accepting bribes or giving bribes. Corruption is beyond that. Corruption means being corrupt. So even if you are not giving or taking money from others, you can still be corrupt. Most civil servants will become corrupt in one way or other. Maybe your superiors will ask you to do something, to give a favor to somebody. You may not be getting any benefit for that. But since your superior said you may be forced to do that, some kind of corruption is there. It may not involve any financial benefit, but maybe helping somebody asked by your superior, or giving an opportunity to somebody who you may sometimes your superior will not say anything, but still you may give some chance to somebody you may be familiar with. Again, corruption, some kind of corruption, not financial corruption, other forms of corruption. I think we'll stop today, and after the next class we'll discuss the dimensions of ethics, different branches of ethics and things like that. Any questions until now? Any questions? Any doubts? I hope the class was clear, right? we'll meet again. Maybe tomorrow you will get another class. May not be from me. Other faculty will come and take the class. We'll next time when I come, we'll discuss the remaining aspects of ethics. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay.